So obviously, the first thing you need to do when driving at night is to turn on your lights, the normal ones or the high beams depending on the situation. Where the light switch is located and how many positions it will have will vary depending on the vehicle, but it's usually located on the turn signal lever or on the dashboard to the left of the steering wheel. The most common positions are off. In the off position, which is pretty self explanatory, the lights are off, but in some vehicles, the daylights will still be on if the engine is running. More on that later. The second position is for the daytime running lights, also called fog lights sometimes. What this will do will depend on the vehicle. It can turn on the daytime lights, the front parking lights, the tail lights, the license plate lights, the instrument panel or dashboard lights, or any combination of those. To be honest, I never use this position. I either leave the switch at the off position when lights are not needed, or I turn it to the regular position whenever needed, either at night or on low light conditions. And the third position is for the regular lights. In this position, all lights are on. It's in this position that you should put the switch when driving at night. Now, a very common misconception with students is that they think that the second position here is for the regular lights and the third one is for the high beams. Not so. To activate the high beams, you'll usually have to either push or pull on your flasher lever, depending on the vehicle. The daytime lights and the regular lights will be indicated by a green icon on the dashboard, and the high beams will be indicated by a blue icon. I'll discuss the high beams in more detail in the next video. Some vehicles also have an auto position on the light switch. If you leave the switch on that position, the vehicle will take care of switching the lights on and off by itself, depending on ambient light. You might also have noticed a knob with an icon of a light bulb on your dashboard. That's for controlling the intensity of the dashboard lights. In these two cases, you either rotate it or push it up or down. Up to increase the intensity, down to dim. You can dim your dashboard lights when you're driving on very dark roads. The more light you have inside the vehicle, the less you'll see outside. For that same reason, you shouldn't drive with the interior lights turned on. Also, if you're wondering if your lights are on because your dashboard lights are too dim, it's probably because this knob is all the way down. In some vehicles, you can also adjust the angle of your lights. So if you see a button with an icon that looks like this one, you can roll the button up or down to adjust the height of the light beam. So these are the most common configurations for the light positions. But like I said, it will vary depending on the vehicle, so check your manual for specifics. Now I get this reaction all the time. On most cars nowadays, when I start the engine, the lights automatically turn on. So why should I turn them on at night with the switch? First, that isn't the case with all vehicles. Second, in some vehicles, the tail lights won't turn on when you start the engine. Also, these lights are dimmer than when you turn the switch to the regular position. They act more as lights to be seen instead of lights to illuminate the road ahead. Here's an example. Everything off, engine on, daytime running lights, normal lights. Also, daytime running lights are not available in every country or on some older vehicles, so always turn on your lights manually when needed. And don't wait until it's dark to turn your lights on. During the transition period from evening to night, when our eyes are adapting to the darkness, it might be difficult to see some users or objects, so turn your lights on a bit before it starts to get dark. A little trick you can use when arriving at an intersection where you don't see much to the sides because of parked cars is to look for reflections on the cars parked on the other side of the street, if there are any. You'll still have to advance far enough so that you see well to both sides before crossing the intersection, but this gives you an idea of what's coming before you even need to move forward. You can also look through the windows of the parked vehicles or look for the glow of the lights on the floor or on the sidewalks, especially when the road is wet. One thing you'll need to be aware of is road users that are barely visible, like cyclists, rollerbladers, and so on. They should have lights on themselves, but often they don't. There's not much you can do besides being attentive, especially in places where they are likely to be, like on bicycle paths for cyclists, for example, near intersections where pedestrians can cross, but really anywhere. Two other crucial factors in night driving are fatigue and alcohol consumption. Try not to drive for too long stretches at night. Since we tend to get more tired at night, coupled with the fact that there are less users on the road, we tend to be less alert, so that makes it more likely that we fall asleep. Things like drinking coffee or energy drinks, singing out loud, opening a window or turning on the air conditioning to stay awake are myths. The only thing you should do if you feel tired is to stop somewhere safe and sleep a bit. Don't stop on the side of the road to sleep though. That's obviously dangerous and illegal in most places. Beware of the fact that we always think that we'll be able to stay awake that little bit more, but you'll risk falling asleep at any moment without realizing it. Some of the places where people might fall asleep are boring roads or waiting at a red light, because you're stopped and you have no mental stimulation. Also, be aware of people driving under the influence because it's at night that you're most likely to encounter them. If you see someone driving erratically, try to keep your distance from them as much as possible. Be especially aware of that during weekends and holidays. Finally, don't leave things of value in plain sight in your car at night, especially if you live in the city. It might cost you those things plus a window. Also, don't forget to turn your lights off before leaving the vehicle, including the interior lights if you turn them on, or you'll drain the battery. Although some vehicles have systems that turn the lights off automatically after a certain amount of time if the engine is stopped. So again, check your manual for that. In the next video, I'll discuss the high beams, when to use them and when not, and how to deal with animals and driving on wet roads. So stay tuned and thanks for watching.